Have you ever met a man who seemed completely obsessed with you? Not just interested, not just attracted, but emotionally locked in, like he'd do anything to keep you in his life. Here's what no one talks about. It wasn't your looks, your charm, or even how much you did for him. It was a specific emotional experience you gave him. A feeling that's so rare, so addictive, that once a man feels it, no other woman compares. What is it? It's the feeling of emotional safety mixed with admiration. That powerful combination makes a man drop his guard, reveal his true self, and crave your presence like a drug. Men may act tough, logical, and emotionally detached, but deep down they're silently searching for the one woman who makes them feel accepted without judgment, appreciated without expectation, and inspired without control. And here's the twist. Most women unknowingly do the opposite. They chase validation, try to impress or act cool and emotionally detached, never realizing that men fall hardest, not for the sexiest woman, but for the one who makes them feel seen and safe to feel. In this video, we're diving deep into the one feeling men crave, but rarely talk about, and why giving this feeling unlocks a side of him even he didn't know existed. If you've ever been confused about why some men ghost while others fall fast and hard, it all starts with this. So grab a seat and stay with me. Because by the end of this, you won't just understand men better. You'll have the power to inspire a love he'll never want to lose. Physical attraction is often the spark that starts it all. But it's never the glue that holds a man. You can be stunning, magnetic, and have every eye in the room on you. But if that's all you bring to the table, it fades fast. Because while attraction catches his attention, it doesn't capture his soul. Here's the truth most people won't say out loud. Men get bored of beauty. Not because they don't appreciate it, but because it's everywhere. With social media, dating apps, and constant access to visual stimulation, being hot no longer sets you apart. It's expected. What isn't expected? Depth. Emotion. A woman who makes him feel something real. That's why men often pursue the most physically attractive women, but stay with the ones who stir something deeper. The woman who listens without judging, who understands his silent struggles, who challenges his mind without attacking his ego. That woman becomes unforgettable. Men may not always have the language for it, but emotionally they are wired to bond beyond the surface. They seek a feeling of peace, trust, and emotional grounding with someone who allows them to let their guard down. You can't fake that. You can't replace that with a pretty face or a perfect body. Have you ever noticed how a man can be obsessed with a woman who doesn't fit society's standards of beauty? That's not an accident. It's because she gives him something he doesn't get anywhere else. Emotional substance. She becomes his emotional home. Physical attraction may pull him in, but emotional connection is what makes him stay, invest, and commit. Without it, even the most intense chemistry dies. Without it, he may enjoy you, but he won't build a future with you. So if you've ever thought, I'm beautiful, why didn't he choose me? Know that beauty is not the end game. Men don't just fall for bodies, they fall for feelings. They fall for the way you make them feel about themselves when they're with you. That's why this video is so important, because when you understand how to create the emotional impact that lingers far beyond the physical, you stop competing with other women and start standing in your own power. Don't just be another pretty face. Be the woman who shifts something in his heart. That's where real love begins. And that's when you stop being replaceable and become irresistible. When it comes to what truly hooks a man for life, most people assume it's loyalty, looks, or shared values. And while those things do matter, they're not the core of what emotionally bonds a man to a woman in a deep, lasting way. What really hooks a man isn't what she does for him. It's how he feels when he's around her. The emotional imprint she leaves on him is what determines whether he stays, commits, and chooses her again and again. At the center of that emotional hook is accept, not the fake surface level approval, but a genuine energy that says, you don't need to perform to be loved here. Most men have spent their entire lives trying to earn respect, suppress their vulnerability, and present strength at all costs. So when a woman comes along who creates space for him to exhale, to not pretend, to feel understood even in silence, that's a rare kind of freedom, and that freedom becomes addictive. But there's more to it. Emotional connection doesn't form just from kindness or being agreeable. What hooks a man is a woman who mirrors back his best self, not by inflating his ego, but by believing in the version of him he wants to become. She speaks to his potential. She doesn't shame his flaws, but she doesn't ignore them either. She sees his imperfections and still believes he's capable of greatness. That kind of belief creates a bond that's hard to break. It makes her irreplaceable in his eyes. He also gets hooked when he feels emotionally safe, when he doesn't have to fear criticism, manipulation, or emotional volatility. Men are drawn to women who bring a calming, grounded energy into their lives. This doesn't mean suppressing your emotions to keep the peace. It means knowing how to express your feelings in a way that invites closeness instead of chaos. Men bond with women who can speak from the heart without making everything a battle. That emotional maturity builds trust, and trust is the root of true devotion. Another powerful hook is emotional contrast. This is when a woman brings warmth, softness, and playfulness to a man's life that sharply contrasts with the pressure and coldness he often experiences in the outside world. Her energy becomes a refuge, a place he wants to return to. Her presence reminds him that connection can be easy, light, and fulfilling. And once he feels that contrast, no casual flirtation or surface-level relationship can compare. So what hooks a man for life? It's not about giving him everything he asks for. It's about being a woman who sees him, calms him, challenges him, and gives him emotional oxygen in a world that constantly demands he hold his breath. Once a man feels that with you, it's not just interest, it's devotion. And not the kind that fades after a few months, but the kind that makes him look at you and think, I could never let her go. To understand how a man bonds emotionally, you have to go deeper than surface behaviors. It's not just about how often he texts, how much time he spends with you, or how affectionate he is. A man's bonding mechanism is rooted in biology, shaped by experience, and often hidden beneath his actions. At the core of male emotional bonding is a neurochemical called vasopressin, often referred to as the monogamy molecule. It's closely linked to territoriality, loyalty, and the desire to protect what a man feels connected to. When a man releases vasopressin, typically after shared emotional or physical intimacy, it creates a subconscious urge to guard and stay close to the woman who triggered it. But that bond only activates fully when a man feels emotionally safe and valued. Otherwise, the release is fleeting and the connection fades. Here's what makes it tricky. Many women assume men bond through deep conversations or vulnerability. And while emotional openness can strengthen a bond, most men weren't raised to process emotions the way women do. Instead, men often bond through shared experiences, consistency, and how they feel in your presence, not necessarily what's said. If a man feels criticized, pressured, or emotionally drained around a woman, he unconsciously disconnects to protect himself. But if he feels peace, acceptance, and emotional clarity, bonding becomes effortless, even without many words. Another key factor in a man's bonding process is his sense of purpose in the relationship. Men are biologically driven to protect and provide, not just financially but emotionally. When a woman allows him to show up for her in meaningful ways, without being needy or demanding, it activates his desire to invest. The more a man feels he matters to your life, the more attached he becomes. Ironically, it's not about asking him for help constantly. It's about respecting his contributions and giving him room to step into that masculine energy naturally. When he feels capable, respected, and appreciated, he bonds more deeply. And perhaps the most overlooked piece, consistency. Male bonding is often slower than female bonding. Women tend to connect quickly and emotionally. Men tend to connect gradually and through repetition. A woman who shows up the same way over time, who doesn't switch between hot and cold, who doesn't play games, builds trust. And for men, trust is the bridge to emotional safety. Once he trusts you, his heart opens in ways even he may not expect. So while society often paints men as emotionally unavailable or hard to read, the truth is much more nuanced. They do bond. They do crave connection, but they bond through feeling respected, useful, safe, and at peace. When you create an emotional environment that gives him these anchors, he's no longer just seeing where this goes. He's emotionally all in, even if he doesn't say it out loud. Understanding this isn't about manipulating him. It's about aligning with how he's wired. And once you do, you'll stop chasing commitment and start naturally inspiring it. High-value women don't chase men. They trigger something in men that makes them chase them. It's not about playing games, manipulating feelings, or being overly accommodating. It's about creating a unique emotional experience that leaves a man feeling alive, respected, and magnetically drawn to you. The secret isn't in what she says, it's in how she shows up. A high-value woman walks into a man's life and instantly shifts the energy. She's grounded in who she is. She doesn't need to prove her worth or beg for attention. That calm confidence makes a man feel something rare, respect mixed with curiosity. He sees her and instantly wonders, who is she? What's her story? Because she radiates something most women don't self-respect. And when a man sees that, he can't ignore it. She also doesn't make a man the center of her world. That's not cold, it's captivating. When you have your own passions, peace, and priorities, you stop giving off desperation. Men don't bond with women who are emotionally dependent. They bond with women who add to their world, not women who abandon their own. A high-value woman has her own emotional home. She's not looking for a man to complete her. She's looking for a man who can match her. She's also emotionally intelligent. She knows when to be soft, when to step back, and when to speak with calm power. She doesn't erupt in drama or punish with silence. Instead, she communicates with clarity, not chaos. That's the kind of energy that feels safe to a man, and safety is the gateway to emotional attachment. When he doesn't feel the need to defend himself, fix everything, or guess where he stands, he relaxes. And when a man relaxes in a woman's presence, his guard drops, and his bond begins to grow. Another powerful trait, she inspires him to be better, not through criticism, but through her presence. Her standards aren't spoken, they're felt. She doesn't chase or demand, she chooses. She knows her worth, and because of that, he naturally rises to meet her energy. High-value women challenge men, without threatening them. They support men without smothering them. That balance creates an emotional environment, where a man feels both free and deeply connected. The rare combination that keeps him coming back. She also doesn't fear loss, and that makes her even more magnetic. A woman who isn't afraid to walk away from what doesn't serve her commands respect. She knows that being chosen isn't as important as choosing herself. And ironically, that's what makes men pursue her harder. Because deep down, every man wants the woman who values herself enough not to settle. So how do high-value women trigger the feeling that men crave? They are the feeling. Calm, warm, grounded, confident. They create an emotional space that feels like home, but only for the man who's ready to step into it. And when he finds that, he doesn't just want her, he commits to keeping her. Men may not always express what they need, but they absolutely feel when something is off. And more often than not, it's subtle emotional missteps that silently kill the very feeling that makes a man want to stay, invest, and bond. The first mistake, overgiving too early. Many women try to win a man's heart by pouring into him emotionally, physically, mentally, hoping he'll see her value. But what actually happens is the opposite. When you give too much, too fast, without letting him earn that access, it signals low value. It removes the mystery. It tells him he doesn't need to show up because you're already doing the heavy lifting. Men don't fall for what they're handed freely. They fall for what they earn and invest in. Next is emotional inconsistency. One day you're warm and open, the next you're distant or reactive. This emotional roller coaster might feel passionate at first, but to a man's nervous system, it's chaos, and men don't stay where they feel anxious or unsure. Emotional stability isn't boring, it's magnetic. It gives him space to be vulnerable. When you're unpredictable or overly reactive, he starts to guard himself. Once he does that, the emotional bond weakens fast. Another common mistake, trying to fix him. You see his potential, so you try to help, correct, guide, or change him. It may come from love, but it often feels like pressure. It tells him you're not enough as you are, and that message, whether silent or loud, kills emotional safety. The man who feels accepted is the man who opens up. The man who feels picked apart shuts down. If you're constantly trying to change him, he won't feel seen. He'll feel judged. And judgment is the enemy of connection. Then there's losing yourself in the relationship. This happens when your world starts to revolve around him. His schedule, his moods, his validation. You stop doing the things that make you feel alive, confident, and grounded. And slowly, the woman he was attracted to, the one with spark and identity, starts to fade. Men don't fall in love with women who make them their center. They fall in love with women who have a center of their own. And finally, confusing intensity with intimacy. Arguments, drama, late-night emotional breakdowns. They might make the connection feel deep, but in reality it's just noise. True intimacy is quiet, safe, and soulful. If a man always feels like he has to walk on eggshells or survive the next emotional explosion, he can't relax, and when he can't relax, he can't bond. These mistakes don't make you wrong, they make you human. But awareness is power. The moment you stop overgiving, center yourself, and create a space of calm strength, the man in front of you starts to feel the one thing he's secretly craving: emotional peace. And once he gets that, the bond deepens. Not because you forced it, but because you became the woman he never wants to lose. If you want to be the woman a man never wants to lose, forget trying to impress him. Make him feel emotionally safe. Because no matter how confident or masculine he seems, on the outside, inside, every man craves one rare experience: the feeling that he can let down his armor and still be fully accepted. Men are raised in a world where they're expected to be strong, silent, and emotionally restrained. Vulnerability is often seen as weakness, and many men learn to hide their real feelings just to survive. That's why when a woman creates a space where he doesn't have to perform, explain, or protect himself, he bonds to her on a level that goes far beyond attraction. So how do you give him that feeling? Start with presence. When he talks, truly listen, not just to his words, but to what he's not saying. Drop the urge to fix, advise, or relate it back to yourself. Just hold the space. When a man sees that you can handle his truth without judgment, his trust in you deepens instantly. Next, speak in a way that connects, not corrects. Men shut down when they feel like they're being criticized, even if your intention is to help. Swap out blame for curiosity. Instead of "why don't you ever open up?" try "I'd love to understand what you're feeling when you're ready." That shift alone makes a man feel respected, rather than attacked. Respect is not optional. It's foundational to emotional safety. Another key: don't weaponize his vulnerability. If he shares something personal, don't use it later in a moment of anger. Nothing kills trust faster. If he starts to associate emotional openness with future pain, he'll stop letting you in. Ever. Also, stay grounded in your own emotion. When a woman loses control, yelling, accusing, or getting dramatically reactive, it sends a man's nervous system into defense mode. But when you can express your feelings calmly, even when you're hurt or disappointed, it shows incredible emotional maturity. And that calm energy is magnetic. It draws him closer rather than pushing him away. One of the most powerful ways to make him feel emotionally safe is simply by being consistent. No games, no hot and cold, no punishing silence, just reliable, clear energy. The more predictable your emotional state, the more he trusts that he can be real around you without consequences. And finally, let him be human. He's going to make mistakes. He's going to get overwhelmed. Don't make his low moments about your work. Show him that you're not here to judge his bad days. You're here to love the man beneath the performance. That kind of loyalty, that kind of emotional acceptance, is what makes him think, "I don't ever want to lose." When a man feels emotionally safe, he gives more, loves deeper, and stays longer. Not because he has to, but because you've become the one place in the world where he can finally just be himself. And that's the kind of love he'll protect for life. When it comes to lasting love, men don't stay for beauty alone. They don't commit because of grand gestures, intense passion, or surface-level compatibility. What truly makes a man devoted, what makes him choose one woman over and over, in a world full of options, is how he feels when he's with her. Not once, not occasionally, but consistently. That feeling isn't about excitement. It's about peace. It's about coming home. Not to a place, but to a person.